Hi, and thank you for joining us for this session of Springdale Today. Joining us for this session, we have Chris Stecklein. He's the Executive Director of the Springdale Public Schools Education Foundation, and Brittany Berry. She's an East facilitator at Helen Tyson Middle School. They're both going to be chatting with us today about the Education Foundation's annual duck race and how it serves our students and teachers. Welcome. Thank you guys for being here today.
Mary, thanks for having me.
Yeah, good morning.
So this is your 7th annual duck race, is that true?
This is right? The 7th annual duck race, that's right.
All right, what can you tell me a little bit about the history and how did it come about?
You know, the whole thing started 7 years ago. We were doing a fundraising event at the Odd Soul, and Jeff Rowe Brown came up and he said, I think y'all need to do a duck race. And I was like, right, that's what I need to do. And so we thought about it a little bit more and thought, why not? And so duck race number 1, we met at the Odd Soul. People decorated their ducks. We went and we threw them in the creek, and then we had 40 people. So we had 40 ducks in the race year 1. And then that just kind of grew to year 2, we had 400. And then the next year we had 540. And then we went to 1,500. And then we went to 3,000. And then we went to 5,000. And this year, we expect we'll be around 5,200.
Wow, that's a lot. How is that historically as far as the numbers? Is that the highest, or are you getting close to your record number?
Oh, this year will be the largest we've ever had. Last year, we ran 5,000. This year, we'll run, like I said, about 5,200.
Okay. Well, then how does the duck race work into the Education Foundation's mission?
So, if you think about really what we do, is you can think about the foundation as kind of the nonprofit fundraising arm for the district. And we're always looking for ways to attract private and philanthropic dollars into the district to pay for things that fit in the gray area. So we're trying to not fund things that are typically funded in the normal operating budget, but find those uber cool projects that a teacher always wanted to do, and they go to Mr. or Mrs. Principal, and they hear, yeah, we don't have a budget for that. So we're looking for ways to do it. And the duck race has turned out to be our largest fundraising event that generates grant dollars.
About how much does it raise in support of district staff locally?
So we'll raise around $30,000 at this duck race, $30,000 to $35,000. Every penny of that goes back into our grant coffers, and then we'll put that back out in classroom innovation grants over the course of the year.
And Brittany, as I understand it, you've benefited from some of those grants within your classroom.
Yes, so my classroom and then Helen Tyson as a whole. I think this goes to show how much of a benefit it is. I was trying to think through if I could come up with every grant that I've been affiliated with over the years, and I probably missed some. But last year, we got a grant for a group of students who were interested in gardening and making healthy life choices, and the grant paid for them to plan out and go into classrooms during our advisory time, and they taught students about making healthy snack substitutes, and they did cooking activities. It also helped us revitalize our school garden in the process. We've gotten equipment for the East classroom that we still use. It gets used, for example, a 3D printer on a lot of projects for occupational therapists in the school district and the community. Our after-school program benefited years back from a grant that started the initial makerspace in our library that serves over 200 students through after-school programming. And I think the list could go on and on and on.
That's amazing. And are those things that generally you wouldn't have been able to do for the students otherwise?
Yeah, it's kind of like Chris said, it's a little bit of a niche grant in the sense that sometimes, like, for example, the Healthy Hornets, as they call their project, purchasing food and supplies like that is usually not allowable in a lot of standard grants because they're concerned with, that it's just a consumable instead of the fact that the kids were actually using it as a base material for their projects. It's also an easier, and I try to encourage teachers in the building to do it. It's a little bit of a more attainable grant if you're not familiar with the granting process, because it's a small enough process and a considerable amount of money, but not so much that it's also really difficult to write the grant. So, if you're looking at somewhere between $500 and $1,500, it's really these kind of little startup projects that are really good for teachers who aren't as familiar with the grant process to kind of be a Kickstarter, I think, for them.
And this wasn't something we had originally planned to talk about, but so if a teacher were interested in applying for a grant, would they go to the foundation website?
Yeah, so the foundation does 2 grant cycles a year. So the dates to remember are October 1. So our next grant cycle will open October 1. It will close December 1st. Our grant committee convenes. They'll vet that over the first week or so of December. And then we make funding decisions, and the funding is actually in the building account in their budget by Christmas break. And then the second process, February 1st, will close April 1st, repeat the same thing, and then funds will be available for teachers to use, if they want to acquire supplies, materials over summer break.
Yeah, and I think that point in time process is really important because often with grants, you're applying for something months, maybe even half a year out, and then the funding will come so much later. So if you're a teacher in the classroom and you really want to be able to do something relatively soon with your group of students, it's kind of hard, that traditional, maybe large-scale grant process, where if you're in the fall and you have a dream for the spring that's based on the particular students in your classroom that year, the foundation makes that possible.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for sharing that. Now, Chris, let's talk about this year's event. When and where is it going to be this year?
Okay, so everybody make plans. September 21st at 11 o'clock that morning, that's a Saturday morning, we're going to drop 5,200 ducks in the creek, Spring Creek, at Turnbow Park at Shiloh Square. So there'll be music, and we'll have some cheerleaders to kind of get things kicked off, starting around 10:15 or so. But then the race will run from about 11 to 11:30.
And the event itself to attend is free and open to the community, right?
No cost. It doesn't cost anything to come. Our intent really is to raise some money, have a good time, bring families out, bring your kids out. This year is really kind of cool because there's a lot of activity going on. So that's the same morning as the Square to Square. So there'll be about 1,800 bicyclists come by. The Miracle League has a hamburger cook-off that morning at 11:30. We're at 11. The Downtown Alliance has a DJ that'll play music starting about 8:30 on until we get started. And so there's going to be a lot of activity. I really encourage people to come out and just enjoy all of it.
Brittany, have you ever had a chance to go?
Yeah, I have. I've stopped in. I'll give a shout out to there's been other East programs that have also participated. I know J.O. Kelly usually has a presence in helping live stream the event. So it's kind of like a community generated. If you go down there, it's really impressive when they all dump in. I went last year to see the use of the front loader, when I think was the first time it's gotten to that extent. After spending a couple of weeks having my students count all the ducks and make sure every duck is counted for, we call it the duck census. It's almost like motherly to watch them all end up in the water. It's like swim little duckies.
Well, and that's a good, thank you for touching on that, because all the ducks are in a giant bucket loader, right? And as I understand it, as you get more ducks, it's becoming more and more challenging to figure out how you're going to contain them all.
When we threw 40 ducks in the creek, we basically had a little tub. We just dropped 40 ducks in the creek. As we've grown, the size of equipment that the city's provided for us has had to grow. So when we made that jump from 3,000 to 5,000, I called the mayor and I'm like, we're going to need a bigger piece of equipment. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And so the piece they sent last year was very large. And I think it will facilitate the 5,200 that we'll have this year. But if we get much larger, we're going to have to really engineer something different. It's going to have to be something really unique to figure out how to get that many ducks in the creek.
I'm just imagining this giant net filled with ducks just dropping. Brittany, you mentioned the duck census just a minute ago, and a big aspect of East, for those who aren't familiar with it, is that it's community service centric, and a big component is helping and empowering students to understand how they can do projects, mainly through the use of technology to support their community. So tell me a little bit about the duck census and how your students have been helping with that.
Yeah, so it actually falls at a great time of the school year because we're able to talk about a lot of things. So it facilitates a lot of interesting conversations, anywhere from what is the SBSEF? Where is downtown Springdale? What is Spring Creek? Just kind of some logistical questions to what is a grant? What scholarships are. We talk about, in a certain number of years, they're going to be looking for money to support their post-secondary goals. So we talk about scholarships and how that's available. We talk about nonprofits. So all these conversations naturally happen through the deck census. And then we also talk about our role as servants in the community and what that means to do community service and provide community service and be a part of the support for Springdale. And then the ducks show up. Now it's kind of become a tradition. The kids come back to school and want to know when the ducks are showing up. And now that we're at 5,000, we have to brainstorm and problem solve how we're going to actually ensure that everyone's accounted for. And so this year we sorted all the ducks into ponds, so tubs of 200. And then now they're in the process of lining up those 200 in each tub and finding where the ducks are missing or double numbered and making corrections one pond at a time.
I'm grateful there's somebody taking on that. That's just like a big task. But I was out there yesterday watching the kids, and they're having fun doing it,
Yeah.
So I'm glad. Thank you for helping them to have that experience. So let's talk about how people can participate this year. Where can they get a duck? How much do they cost? What can you tell us about that?
Okay, so the first round of ducks were purchased through corporate sponsorships. So once we finish that off, then we open up duck purchases to the schools and to the school patrons. So every school will start with the same number of ducks in the race provided by the corporate sponsors. And then any school can run a fundraiser and buy additional ducks to increase their chances of winning. So first question people have is, so what do we win? So we're going to drop these ducks in the creek. The fire department's going to come out and they're going to help provide a current. And then the first 10 ducks that come out of the creek, that teacher or that school gets a $1,000 grant to use as a discretionary grant this year. So it's worth your time to invest $10. That's what it costs to buy a duck. Invest $10 to increase your chances of winning. You can buy those. You can you go to any of your kids' schools. Every school has the forms. They're all making the rounds. You can go and you can support that school that way. If you just want to support the foundation's efforts, you can go to spsef.org to the duck race tab, and there's all the forms, all the information you need. Duck race or duck sales end on the 16th. And so once we're done on the 16th, then we've got to turn around and get all the numbers set up, and then get everything ready for race day. So we'll cut off sales the night of the 16th.
Right. Sounds good. So we've talked a lot about the race, how the foundation supports our families and subsequently our teachers. Is there anything I haven't touched on that you guys think is important to mention?
Brittany mentioned something a minute ago that I want to loop back around to, and she talked about East. And if it weren't for the East programs, I'm not really sure how we would pull this off. So not only does Brittany and her kids count the ducks, Abigail Farrell and her kids are going to live stream the event. So if you can't come out in person, reach out to the Springdale Schools Facebook page and catch the live stream of the event. So we've got middle school kids counting the ducks. We've got middle school kids actually doing a broadcast, a live broadcast. They're going to write a script, and we're going to have co-hosts. So 2 of our corporate sponsors are going to sit down and actually co-host the whole event. And it's all going to be live streamed, and it's all going to be run by middle school kids. So, I want to give a big shout out to East. I hope they're learning as much out of the process as what we are. But if it wasn't for them, I'm not sure how we'd pull this off.
I'm grateful that you're opening the door, though, for students to do that. A lot of people wouldn't trust something that big or significant to youth. Now, Abigail, what middle school is she a part of? What students will be live streaming it?
The J.L. Kelly Middle School East team will take care of the live stream. They collaborate with the communications department guys to help because, technology gremlins are real. And so we want to make sure that goes as smooth as possible. And those are just 2 things I know I don't have to worry about. I can drop the ducks off with Brittany, and that's going to be done. And then I just go to Abigail and say, are you ready? what do you need me to do? And then I just got to get out of her way so her and her kids can do their magic.
Fantastic. All right. Anything else to add?
No, I just say I think it's just a great example of just the reciprocity kind of process. Not only is my program, but District East programs across the district have benefited so much from the foundational grants. I think last year, if I'm correct, Central got one that they used to establish their own podcasts for their school. Years back, we got one to start some temporary story walks that have now become the basis of permanent ones that are at both Shaw Park and Murphy Park. And so I think it's just a small way that we can contribute to the foundation, which has contributed so much to our programs.
And as a whole, this is, again, the biggest fundraiser for grant-specific money. So life to date, the foundation's funded a little over 300 classroom innovation grants. That dollar amount's a little over $1.5 million. And that is just grassroots generated, fundraised money. But this event has really accounted for a big part of that. And so we want to continue to grow it. The more money we can make on the duck race, the more grants we can fund.
Thank you. That's amazing. I'm sure that's enriching our students' education in more ways than we can ever possibly understand. So thank you both for all you're doing. Thank you for being here today. And I look forward to seeing you guys at the duck race on September 21st.
Yep, we'll be there.
Outstanding. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Mary Jordan. I'd like to welcome you to this segment of Springdale Today. Joining us for this session, we have Geoshan Lee, who is the director of the Ozark Media Arts Festival, as well as Jamie Miskimen, who is his assistant director. Thank you both for being here with us today.
Thank you, Mary, for having us.
Thank you.
I've had an opportunity to attend the Ozark Media Arts Festival before, and it's a really super cool event. When can we look for it this year?
So this year, the festival will be held in downtown Springdale on October 8th and 9th.
Okay, great. Now, what can you tell me about the inspiration and why the festival is held annually?
Yeah, so it started back in 2011. Trent Jones, the director, wanted something for teachers to be able to have for their students here during the fall season. It's basically to allow students in the media arts to bridge the gap between education and the industry, to inspire creativity, foster skills, prepare students for either future for careers or higher education in the media field.
Awesome. So a lot of that's future-centric. What are some of the benefits to students attending the festival at this time in their learning and growing portion of their career?
Yes. So during the competition, or during the festival, there's multiple avenues for students. Students that have not ever competed, they can have their first time in competition and really experience that. Or they can just be around other students who have more experience and, really get that vibe for their upcoming year. During the workshops, students are able to learn from industry professionals. They're able to network with other students and just see what opportunities are available in the community and for higher education. And then during the competition field, they just get they have the experience of working in teams and garnering friendships that are going to last throughout their high school careers and most times after high school as well.
That's amazing. That was really amazing. How many students have had an opportunity to participate in the festival over the years?
Well, I don't know the exact number, but I can tell you thousands of students have participated in this festival. And many students have the opportunity and the experience working in the field right now.
Do students interested in participating in the festival, do they need to have any real experience in media at all to attend?
Absolutely not. We really encourage students of all levels to participate in this festival. And, it will be a challenge for students that just started because they're going to be competing with students that have a lot more experience in them. But I believe as long as students have the determination and the heart and the desire to learn, this festival is great for them. Because, it's not just about the competition. And like what Jamie said earlier, we have workshops where industry leaders come in to share their experience. And we have a media arts fair where teachers and students can come in, talk to colleges, and, see what they want to do after their high school, whether they want to, start off by starting their career or even furthering their education. That's a place for them to just ask all the questions they need.
Rather than getting to college and then realizing it's not something that they wanted to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And
I've talked to a lot of teachers recently who say that, their first year experience was amazing because you have students that go who are just delving into media arts. And then after they finish with this festival, they are pumped up, their ideas, brainstorming, everything's there. So you're not there to necessarily win the festival. Like, that's not the main goal. There is a lot of prizes. It's great to have that. But the kids come back with inspiration, and they really get a feel for how it will work in real life. And that's something that you can't get in the classroom.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, the festival itself, OMAF, kind of falls within Springdale School District. But who can participate? Is it limited to Springdale students?
No, it's not. So it's open to Arkansas and the surrounding states. Obviously, the closer you are, it's easier to get here, but it is a free festival. So that's why we make it free, so that way students from all over the state and the surrounding areas, this region, can participate at the lowest cost possible and be able to network with regional industry professionals.
All right. Now, you shared there's video production is a factor. You've got photography and graphic design, but I understand that there's some new categories within the festival this year. What can you tell me about
Mary,
that?
you are absolutely right. This year, we added print journalism to our categories for students to explore.
So what will that look like? What can they do within that parameter for print journalism?
So in case I forgot to mention, the festival falls under two main categories for the competitions. We have the upload competitions, which students can submit their entries on Film Freeway. And we have the on-site competitions. So for the on-site competitions, we're going to have a mock crime scene, and where students can come in and, it's just a hands-on experience of reporting. And they just, same like any other competition, you get the paperwork, you get the instructions on how and what you're supposed to do, and you just do it on the spot. You don't get to plan it. Journalists don't get to plan what they want to write. They don't plan their articles, and they just go there and they learn what, express their creativity through articles and what they see.
Tell me about some of the workshops and media professionals that we have coming out this year to work with our students.
We have news journalists or broadcast journalism that are going to be doing workshops again this year. Students always love that. So they get to experience real-world information from people right down the street that you see on the news every single day. We have then variants of workshops, just anything that you would need for your field, from entrepreneurship to doing things like pitch decks. We have just a wide variance. So the only complaint that we're probably going to have is that students can't do all the workshops.
That's a good complaint to have
Yes.
to give them options. And I understand you also, for the first time, have a media panel this time?
Yes, we do. So we have a media panel of 3 judges coming in. Not judges, I'm sorry. 3 professionals coming in, and they're going to talk about the Freedom of Act information. And they're just going to come and share and talk to students, and students are going to be able to ask questions. And, I think that's a really great opportunity for students, instead of just having a normal workshop where students learn from them, but this time students get to ask questions. And again, it goes back to print journalism on how you learn to ask questions and, getting the right answers and what works within your right to know.
That's really good information. I will say that is something even career journalists have to refresh their memories on and understand, because it's complicated. So I'm really grateful you're providing that opportunity for the students so they can understand that. Okay, so what kind of deadlines are we looking at that students and teachers need to be looking forward to?
Registration is now open for all schools, so any teacher. Also, this isn't just for regular schools. This can be anybody that's actually in homeschool as well. I forgot to mention that before. So if you're a homeschool kid that's into media and you want to come and it's just by yourself and you're a single person team, we've had it happen before. We'd love to have you here. And that's maintained a lot. And then, we're going to be posting out items on SMORE and social media. So anything that's really needs to be updated at that time. But the main thing is to show up on October 8th and 9th.
So is there anything that I haven't thought to consider that's part of the conversation that you really think is important to share with listeners?
I don't think we have anything, but I do have something to say. And, I would really encourage teachers to bring their students to the festival. It doesn't matter if you have a small program or your program is just starting out. Don't use that as an excuse or a discouragement to not attend the festival, because the festival is free, and students are gonna be able to learn so much just from the festival. It gives them an opportunity to learn from outside the classroom, from industry professionals, to talk to colleges, and just be around other students, to be around other creatives, and to create together and learn, and just prepare them for the school year, so that they start the school year strong and they can apply what they have learned from the festival throughout the school year.
Very good. And I'm thinking, as you're talking, one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
What grades are kind of recommended to participate in the festival?
So the festival is open to middle, junior, and high school students. There are some teachers that have asked, hey, my students are from elementary school, can they attend? We try not to say no. We try to work around it, and even if you can't take part in the festival, we would still encourage even middle school students to just attend the festival, learn from it, and even if you don't feel you're ready to compete against high school students, don't be discouraged. There's always room to learn, and it's a learning opportunity for everybody. Yeah.
And Mary, this is an opportunity that bridges the gap between what you learn in school and going towards your higher education or your career. So really, middle school students are just starting into it, and it's good for them to show up and be able to participate, just kind of see how it is and see what they're interested in. They might be interested in photography and realize they like film, and then once they get up to junior high or high school, they have those opportunities. Same thing for junior high kids. A lot of them may not have enough experience for them to really understand what they want to do, which is great. You're in junior high. You should be exploring. But it does give you the opportunity to explore more and get you excited for high school. And that's their benefit in those lower grades. It really benefits high school students that want to go into media communications on either the education side or as a career coming out of high school. So it really benefits them the most, but any grade level can really benefit. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate everything. Yeah. Will you say?
Yeah. I actually have one last thing.
Yeah.
Because I know that we are going to have a lot of questions about, hey, what do I bring to this? What kind of equipment do I need? All those kind of questions. So any questions people have, they can come to our website. And there's an FAQ on there, and we'll also be posting things on social media to explain what you should bring. But, basic gear, computers, bring yourself, bring your excitement. That's the main thing. But if they have any questions, they can visit our website or reach out to us.
All right. So follow Ozark Media Arts Festival on all the stuff, right? And then go to the Springdale Schools website or OMAF. What's the actual website address? Do you know?
It's ozarkmediaartsfestival.com.
Perfect. And find out everything you need to know about the Ozark Media Arts Festival. Thank you both for joining us today. We sure do appreciate your being here.
Thank you, Mary, for taking the time to allow us to be here.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Springdale Today is a production of Springdale Public Schools Communication Office.
The podcast is hosted by Mary Jordan and is produced and edited by Micah DeLacy.
Be sure to subscribe to Springdale Today for free on your favorite podcast platform.
And don't forget to follow Springdale Today on social media for episode updates and behind-the-scenes conversations.
Thank you for listening. We hope you'll join us in the future. we continue to learn about the amazing stories happening in Springdale today.